Hello, Whitefish. Welcome back. Boy, what a week it's been. That lightning storm during the farmer's market sure sent people scrambling. And we're starting to see a steady trickle of tourists coming to town. I had a nice conversation with a woman visiting from the big old state of Texas. It was her first time to Montana, and she had a question for me. She asked, "Someone from the hotel said I should try some bear claws while I'm here." I said you should. They're delicious. You can sometimes find them at the farmer's market, but you might need to go to Polbridge. She looked at me, confused, and asked, "Y'all eat the rest of the bear too, or just the claws?" Well, I told her the truth. Of course we eat the whole bear. You think we're going to let 500 pounds of cute, cuddly rage go to waste? Our guest today is a Wildland Firefighter named Ken Browning. Ken is the squad boss on a helicopter rappel crew, and his job is as awesome as it is important. We had an incredibly informative and interesting conversation about wildfires and what it's like to be a wildland firefighter. I spent a little time filming with him and his crew this weekend, and I gotta say, after seeing what they do, I might be switching careers soon. And if you have any questions or are interested in a possible career as a wildland firefighter, you can reach out to Ken. His contact info will be in the description. Today's episode is brought to you by Thrivers Coffee. If you want to help to end human trafficking, visit thriverscoffee.com.
I'm Ken Browning, and this is our helicopter. Of the equipment. That, a brand new helmet. Very comfortable. It's on a magnet, just clicks in like this. Good to go. Close, close, close. I'll do an inspection, and he'll inspect me, and we're all ready to go.
Kenny Browning.
Morgan Delaney.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy you're here for my 4th episode of Hello Whitefish.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Really, it's truly a treat. Even especially with the guys that you had on your earlier episodes.
Yeah.
You know, we had John, we had Earl, and David.
Yeah.
Man, like those are some seriously influential folks of this town, right? So,
It's pretty interesting the kind of people that are here.
yeah, and the just the fact that you thought of me to come on the show, I'm stoked.
Awesome.
That you thought of me.
Well, you're here because we're going to talk a little bit about forest fires.
Yes.
What are you up to these days?
So working seasonally still with the Forest Service. This is my 8th season as a wildland firefighter. I just got promoted on a helicopter rappel crew. So I'm taking a detail as a squad boss on that ship.
Rad.
Yeah.
Congrats.
We're riding on a Bell 205 It's a Huey helicopter, so when it makes the turns, it's pop, 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 pop. You know, it's like
Yeah.
straight out of Credence would love it.
Yeah. I think Two Bear Air uses a Bell 204, I think, maybe 205.
Yeah, man, I forget what platform they're out of, but it's a super high performance ship, and they got all the bells and whistles. It's a sweet program what they got going on. Yeah.
Damn. So what do you do on that helicopter?
Oh, we go and fight freaking fire, bud.
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out.
Okay.
Hot and dry conditions.
Yep.
Okay, like we get.
Mm-hmm.
And then a storm rolls through, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lightning bust. And we haven't caught a whole bunch of rain. We're in drought. Lightning strikes a snag, a dead tree, right? And then it blows up and sparks go all over the hill. And then those sparks just kind of sit and smolder and creep around. A fire won't initially start, right? We call that a holdover. So like in a couple days when conditions kind of become right for that fire to kind of really get a hold of the ground fuels and the ladder fuels, and it starts to flare up, and then it starts to show some smoke. Then not typically, this is how it happens. Then somebody sees it and there's like, oh, there's smoke up there. That's not supposed to be there, right? And so then they call a dispatch, which then get a hold of us, and then we get a rough lat long. If it's on a mountainside with no road access, then we have a pretty quick response time. Then we load up in the helicopter and go to that rough lat long. We do a couple laps and open the doors, throw a set of 250 or 300 foot ropes out the door, and then hook up, rappel down, if conditions are safe to do so, right? If everything is in place that make us feel safe, and then spend like 3 days just kind of, not just kind of, but anchoring, flanking, and then wrapping this fire, pulling all the fuels away from it so it can't get established and burn.
Wow.
Put it out, catch a ride back home, and do it all over.
That's crazy. That is your job. That's your day job.
It's so fun.
How did you even get into that line of work?
Oh, beautiful question. Yeah. So I was volunteering with Whitefish Fire Department.
Okay.
And some good, what's up, Ben? Yeah. So I would classify him, he didn't know this, but I would classify him as my mentor. He's like, dude, I was a hotshot once. Like, you should, if you want to go see some fire and like get some experience, go to the Forest Service, do some time there, come back and reapply, and yeah, that would be kind of the route. So that's what I did. I started off at Hunger Horse, and then rolled with the shots for a minute, and then that's when my boss was like, hey, you want to go play on a helicopter? And I didn't know much about the rappel world, and then I fell in love with it. I love aviation, and now I'm there. Now I'm here.
Wow.
Now we're here.
What are the prerequisites for getting into, like if someone wanted to get into wildland firefighting, how do they do that?
The best resource that I could probably give anybody, any aspiring firefighters out there, is to literally just walk into your ranger station, or if you see a green engine running around. I'm a federal employee, right? You have CAL FIRE, you have state employees. Well, CAL FIRE is state, but around here we have DNRC folks. Mm-hmm. But if you see anybody in green pants, walk up to them and then just start chatting. Hey, give me a number. Give me somebody who I can call. After you start establishing some communication there, you're going to have to deal with USA Jobs.
Oh, that's fun.
And then Albuquerque. Yeah, you're going to learn. So, but, at the end of this, I would love to throw my personal email out there. And if anybody wanted to hit me up about that, I could direct, based on what they want to do, I could direct them. But that's up to you. So.
That's amazing. Oh, yeah, we'll put all that information in the show notes. Yeah, for sure. What kind of person makes a good wildland firefighter? Okay.
Nowadays, it's kind of hard to come by, but anybody who's into manual labor and likes that kind of suffer fest, like type 2 fun. Like, it's because you're in long pants and leather boots, and you're wearing a hard hat, and you're wearing a pack, and you're sucking smoke, and it's not coming down your face, but you got this chainsaw, and you're just making foresight, blah, blah, and you're just like, oh, this is terrible, but it's awesome. So anybody who could feel like they could thrive in a situation like that, anybody who feels like they can make a strong, cohesive working relationship with other folks, team oriented for sure.
Yep. Because you're like out in the middle of the woods, you're camping, you really got to work together.
Heavily relying on each other. Right. And therein lies a problem, because all season long, I'm going to riff for a second.
Yeah.
All season long, we're building this really high-performing team, right? But then when the winter comes around, you don't have that anymore. And it's starting to become recognized and talked about, like, oh, all of a sudden my supporting cast just left. And it's just like one among a whole bunch of stuff that just kind of compounds on itself, and it makes it a very difficult job. Uptick in suicide. Serious, like seeking all this adrenaline, and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore, or you're going down a really bad, like myself, I went down a really bad rabbit hole and just used the bars to kind of cope with what I was dealing with, but my self-awareness was real low, and I didn't have the tools to really recognize what was happening. But with a lot of, so we were talking about, with a lot of death, we also experience a lot of life too, out on that environment, and it's a very, very unique working experience. I'll say, like, if anybody's interested in doing it, man, pull the trigger. It's very fun and rewarding.
A lot of camaraderie, I bet.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
With such an uptick in, we're going to talk about the data and what fires look like in this day and age, but it seems like there's a lot more of them. Summer times are just terrible. Like, look what's happening in New York. With a forest fire is no fucking joke.
A big one, yeah.
Like a big one.
Or a little one, yeah.
So how many people are deployed to combat a fire on average? Like, for example, like what's happening in Quebec right now, how would something like that be managed? And I guess a follow-up question, which I'll ask afterwards, is there enough people to even fight these things? I don't know where you want to start, but...
Okay, I'll start at the end. In my opinion, I'm not speaking for... I'm not a PIO. Public information officer. This is just what I'm seeing, but we're experiencing a lot of just exodus out of the job for a number of reasons. I won't get into all of them here because it just can get into a serious spaghetti mess. But short answer is less and less. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of good experience, a lot of good people with the training, a lot of smart folks. They're just moving on. It's hard on life. It's hard on family. A lot of these folks are starting families. And that's pretty. It's wild to watch. Okay, and then so what would it take, right, to fight one of these beasts out in the woods, right? Well, there's different levels, right? We have different levels of complexity. Like a 1/4 acre smoldering lightning strike tree doesn't require a lot of resources. I call them boot heel crushers. You can just go out there and you feel so accomplished because you're like, this could have been real bad, but we got on it and got on it early and took care of it. No big deal. Just imagine like a campfire, like we got a campfire. The smaller it is with the bigger ring around it, it's easier to crush, right? But then you want to build a campfire that's seen from space, right? Pallet fire,
right?
And then all of a sudden you're gonna have to have a little bit more, more resources to handle something if something were to go wrong, right? So then we have getting into the bigger fires, we have what are called teams, incident management teams, and then it becomes more expansive and more complex. So you have one guy running like a whole ops section, and then you have logistics. You're dealing with caterers, right, and heavy machinery, and not just one crew, but maybe a bunch, and then you have to split the fire up into sections to make it bite-sized and manageable. So it takes a lot of coordination,
Right.
I'd say. That's a good buzzword.
Yeah.
Coordination of resources, and we learned a lot. Actually, we learned a lot from just off the top of my head, but Katrina.
Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
How so?
All hazards response.
Okay, yeah.
So, these organizations that just want to jump in and help.
Right.
All of a sudden, too many hands. The communication started breaking down, and people weren't talking to each other. And then there was like redundancy in efforts, and then it was like, whoa, okay, hold on. There's a lot of lessons learned from this thing. Let's make something that is a common language among everybody. Okay, everybody's set on what the term is and what it means, and then let's kind of go from there. Everybody in the industry is a great problem solver, and they're all willing to learn from their failures or mistakes, and the ownership comes into play. And yeah, it's a very fascinating world to be a part of, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what kind of aircraft are used to fight fires as far as dropping retardants and water? Because you'll see like those huge like lift helicopters.
Yeah.
You've got the planes.
Yep.
They look like bombers.
Yeah.
So how are those deployed? And then I guess, obviously you got to coordinate aircraft, and that's a huge thing. And when there's smoke and fire, that's got to be pretty dangerous for the pilots, and making sure the planes probably got to operate in certain protocol.
So do you want to know about firefighting aircraft?
Yeah.
Okay. Types of helicopters, right? The lower the number, the bigger, the heavier, the more equipped it is, essentially. Like, that's a good rule of thumb. Exceptions to that rule, of course. But so we have these Type 1 helicopters, which are the Sikorsky freaking sky cranes with the big dump doors, and like they're tanked. And that's a lot of water, like the Chinooks or the Vertol, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vertol pilots. And then you move down into your Type 2 category, which is what our ship is. We call helicopter ships.
Sure.
Yeah, because we're sky pirates. We show up.
You are a sky pirate.
We
for
just
sure.
we just show up and we take, and we're obsessed with money. And we'll take your women. Sorry.
Watch out, ladies.
Yeah. So
I have seen him in action.
So we have our Type 2 helicopters, Hueys. Off the top of my head, that's kind of what's really coming to my mind. Okay, Type 3, right? We got like our A-Star helicopters, right? Our Eurocopters. Super light. Not a whole lot of lift capabilities, but wicked fast. Riding in those things is like riding in a Porsche. It's so fun, so quick, yeah. And then like we heli ski out of them, right? Like,
those ones.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're high performance, and you can get super far, super quick, and getting all sorts of kinds of crazy scenarios. Then you have your fixed wing firefighting aircraft. You've got Neptune out of Missoula, right? BA-125s, I believe. But that's a jet, it's. I'm not even going to give you a number for how much retardant it could drop, but it's a buttload. Yeah.
That's a lot of weight too.
It's a lot of weight, man. Yeah. And then you have 737s, like commercial aircraft,
right,
that are also tanked, that you see a lot. You see a lot those things flying around in California, and they're dropping a, can I say shit?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shitload of retardant, man. Like, it's crazy to watch those things drop. You don't want to be on the line or under that thing, because it will wreaks havoc.
Yeah.
On the, and And then the lighter side of things, so those are big dogs or heavy dogs, and then of course you have your like water bombers, right, which are pretty cool. Bridger Aerospace out of Bozeman, they're a sick company, and then you have your which I'm more fascinated with these aircraft, but your single engine air tankers or your seats, your seats, one seat. It's got this huge, beautiful single turbine engine that just spools up, and it's a lot of power. You look at it and it's just like, it looks like it's just putzing along, but when it's your crop duster, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, your crop duster.
Yep.
Just different paint scheme, and you put floats on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't land on the water, but that's how it scoops water, or it could be loaded with retardant, one of the two, and you're like actively flying it like 60 to 90 feet above the treetops.
What?
So check out this profile real quick. You're like super heavy, and you're coming in for a drop, and then you punch off thousands of pounds worth of water, and then all of a sudden you start like lifting. You're like in this certain, like, your flaps are deployed, and you're just like kind of coming in and squatting down. You want to get like right on the fire's edge, but then all of a sudden you don't have that weight anymore, and then all of a sudden you have all the power in the world, and you're just like, whoa, when you're like climbing out. So for like new pilots, new seat pilots, when they drop, they're like, you kind of see a little wobble, but the guys have been doing it for years and years and have thousands of hours racked. They just like this, and they pull out. It's like Top Gun. Oh, it's so cool. But that's a rundown of firefighting aircraft.
Damn.
That's very cool.
So much adventure.
So much. Speaking of adventure, I got a question for you, man.
Sure.
How's the family, man?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Family's great.
Yeah.
Magnolia's almost 3.5.
That's pretty
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess
Does she know that she's a legend already?
Yes.
Okay.
She is a three-nager. That is a thing.
Nice. Dude.
Yeah. No, she's great. Like, she's going to play school, learning how to count, can pretty much count to 20 now.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Nice.
learning her ABCs, that sort of thing. Loves vinyl records still. Yeah. But now she's getting a record collection, and it's pretty expensive. She's got the Frozen soundtrack, but her favorite band right now is Daft Punk. She loves Daft Punk. She also really likes Hot Chip, which is like,
yes,
like another British kind of dance party band.
I just discovered them last summer.
Yeah, they're great.
They are great.
And she also really likes Thundercat, the bass player.
Oh,
so she's got her dad's taste in music for sure. It's probably why she likes those bands. But so she's great. Just loves to have little dance parties and stuff. So it's pretty dope.
That is.
Being a dad's great.
That's an adventure.
It's an adventure for sure.
Oh, that is awesome.
I think we're gonna go camping in East Glacier in June.
Beautiful.
I think we're gonna go out and camp around Browning for Indian days. Take them to the Indian relay races. We're gonna take Jess and Magnolia and some other friends. We're gonna go out there. Have you ever been to one of those?
No, but what they do with the horses is pretty intense.
It's insane.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
that you're gonna go check that out.
Yeah,
get some culture. What we're really about out here, right?
I know.
So that's cool. Speaking. Okay, so to riff off adventures, you have this podcast.
Yeah,
fired up. Can I share something with you?
Yeah.
Okay. When you hit me up, like, seriously, like literally 2 days ago, and you're like, "Hey man, you want to be a part of my podcast?" I was like, yeah, that would be really fun to go catch up. And I was like, and then I was driving, I was thinking to myself, this thought like rifled through my head. And I was like, God, do we really need another thing to put Whitefish like on blast?
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's at the top of the list on Google search.
I know.
Right, but then I was like, no, Ken, man, when you get somebody like Morgan, when you get you who seeks the understanding, right, and interviews the caliber of people like you have in your first couple of episodes, there's so much going on here, and I can't think of a better person to run this program than. Do your listeners know who you are?
I don't think so.
This is Morgan Donor Delaney.
This is gonna get edited out. No, I'm just kidding.
It should not.
I will.
It definitely should not, because you're such an integral part of this community.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
And how you took me in, man. Yeah. Like, I've been in and out of this area for since I was a baby boy, you know. Yeah. And I learned how to ski on this mountain. I learned how to pick huckleberries. I learned how to dodge crazy, sketchy scramble situations in the mountains and stuff like this. Right. Yeah. But you've been around in and out of this area for how long?
Moved here in 1981.
Yeah.
Grew up here, went to high school here, left in 99, 2000. Moved to the great state of California, which is actually where I'm from. So all the people out there who are like, Californians are moving to Montana and are ruining this place. That's me. I'm not Face. That's me. I'm going to have a whole episode about that, actually.
Excellent.
But yeah, same thing. Moved away, moved to California, lived the California dream. I did. Lived in the Bay Area, working for a semiconductor startup. Also played in a bunch of punk rock bands and just skateboarded. Then moved to LA to go to music school, worked in TV and film production. We'll go up to Northern California to trim weed and all the trim camps up there.
Oh, yeah.
Can do a whole episode on that. Crazy adventures. Like, the craziest parts of my 10-year tenure in California were definitely the weed camps of Humboldt. It reminded me a lot of Montana. Like, going up those roads in the North Fork was very similar to going up the roads in like Garberville, except it's way sketchier up there. Yeah, but it's fun. And we have a ski film that we filmed that we are going to be premiering around Christmas. We're going to be bringing back.
Do you really want to, man?
Yes. That was such
good freaking times, man. It's so funny.
That was so fun.
You're into bass, man. You're a bassist.
Yep, I'm a bassist, bass player. I haven't touched the bass in years, though.
Dude, you shred. And so, like, I would say you're an accomplished musician. You've played with some people, man, for sure. And then
got a tour. Yeah. Tour America, toured Europe, toured Mexico a little bit. Super fun. Love Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah,
those border towns.
Yeah, I remember some crazy stories from those tours that you were telling me. Yeah, I remember. But just to kind of continue down the list, man.
Yeah,
you're a content creator.
I guess that's what it's called now.
It is, but what would you have called? What would you classify yourself if you were to?
Yeah,
making films.
Well, so
you got into producing, right?
Right. So when I kind of like the whole reason this looks as good as it does.
It looks real good.
It looks pretty good in here. I'm just tooting my own horn a little bit. I'm just kidding. So yeah, I worked in. We got the Braille wall.
Dude, yeah.
This actually says "Hello Whitefish" in Braille. No joke. I'm just kidding. It doesn't say.
Oh, I was like, you got me. I would have been stoked about that.
I mean, maybe it does. Maybe it does. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. So like, I went to music school in Los Angeles. That's how I ended up down there.
Okay.
And got out of music school and just needed a day job, like every other musician does in LA. Yeah. Kind of the struggling musician thing.
Oh yeah.
And had a background in writing. And my roommate's mom worked at like a small TV production company that needed some PAs, some production assistants. And just got a job there doing shows for Discovery Channel, History Channel, TLC, Bravo, all those kind of things. A lot of nonfiction stuff, a lot of history shows, military shows, science shows, a bunch of true crime. And just kind of started, production assistant, then producing, some writing, doing some stuff on sets, a lot of interview-based stuff. So I did a lot of field producing, which is where this kind of comes in handy. Is I'd go out on... Like if I was on a crime show, we would go to these different towns where these crimes we were doing shows on took place, and I would interview like homicide detectives and family members and journalists. And so, yeah.
Like that show, The First 48?
Yep. Actually, a friend of mine, shout out Josh Cole, worked on that show. And man, he's got some stories. That was like a gnarly show to work. I never worked on it, but that was a gnarly show to work on. Because it's like you're with these homicide detectives as they're going on to crime scenes. and finding bodies and some in like terrible states.
Whoa.
So you got to have a stomach for that. So
Whoa, I got goosebumps on that one, man.
Yeah, totally crazy. So, but it's fun. It's a fun career path. But so I'm stoked to be taking all that knowledge and applying it here to my little hometown. So I guess like formally I'm a producer, but I guess that's also like a content creator is the more PC term for, I guess, a producer or whatever. But whatever. I making content, I guess.
You make stuff.
I make stuff with a camera and microphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're good at it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been a part of some of your stuff. I watched you kind of over the last couple of years, man. And you've been into like so you worked you've worked all over Whitefish. You have a solid pulse, and incredibly humble, by the way, which is a serious attribute, but that's what makes you so legitimate in this town. Is you've been a server, you've made stuff, right?
Yep.
Amazing crepes. I remember getting
used to sling crepes at Amazing Crepes.
Power crepes.
Yep.
Dude, power, shred fuel.
Yep.
Yes.
Major shred fuel.
Shred fuel. And then
Spider Bear. Worked at Spider Bear for a while.
That's right, dude. Of course. Yeah.
Spider Bear Spirits.
What a
early days of Spider Bear Spirits.
And then also kind of note on that, and we'll circle back. Don't let me forget. But congratulations, Earl and Lauren.
Oh, I know. Congratulations to Earl and Lauren. They got married and they've got a little girl on the way. I think it's due in September.
And
that's going to be an amazing kid.
Also, another born legend right out of the gate.
Yep.
Among other things, you're a fabulous. I'm just so good looking.
So we're gonna go on a date after this,
dude, for sure.
But we definitely have a bromance. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Brother mance.
Yeah.
You're an excellent party thrower, and I was like, what I was laughing, I was like, oh, ha ha ha, party thrower. Speaking of throwing, hatchet throwing. Remember
yeah.
And then
we discovered hatchet throwing
before Hanks ever showed up.
I know. Yeah.
I've never still been there. I actually would really like to go check it out.
I haven't been there either.
We should go together.
We should.
When I'm back in town, we should go check it out and go throw some metal.
Let's do it.
I'm down. But we put together a little 2x4 situation. You did, and then and we just taught
ourselves how to
throw hatchets. And I will never forget, we were at the Remington, and you were running a burlesque show, right?
I was running a burlesque show,
and you were the MC, right? Is that
the host?
Oh, the host. And one of the players, was she blindfolded? I can't remember. But you climbed up on a rounder on a log, straddle style, full Western, and was like, throw the hatchet under my legs.
Yeah. Yep.
And they did.
And she did. Yeah. And she had just learned how to throw a hatchet that week.
You taught her that.
I did, because she was she had a whole hula hoop routine that she would do.
Right, yeah.
And I got her to like hold the hoop up next to the round, and I throw it through the hoop. Super safe. And then, the bit was, we did a few different things like that. And then she's like, well, you're throwing the hatchet at me. I want to throw it at you. So I'm like, okay. So I got up on the rounder, this big, must have been like a 70-pound rounder that I hauled into the Remington, got on stage, and then got up there. She threw it, rotated, landed pretty close to my right leg, but I don't really care. I was like, if she hits me, it's even better. And I kind of dulled the hatchet just enough, so if it did go anywhere. And I think I forget what kind of wood. It was cedar. What? Because it was one of the trees. Your property? Yeah. All right. It wasn't cedar. It was wasn't cedar. It wasn't birch. One of those. It was pine tree of some sort. It was a softer wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it worked.
Dude.
Yeah.
So funny, man.
So many fun stories.
I think I should come back on the show. You should invite me back, and I should just interview you full blast, because people need to know who they're catching this from, man. Because you're the purpose, the intent of what's going on here is really to let's learn from your example, man. Like let's seek the understanding.
Let's learn from all of our examples too.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many amazing people. There's so much culture here just amongst our community.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't say there's a lot of culture, but it's a very unique culture of people here. And that's really what has made this town great, is the community. So
that's a beautiful point, right? Everybody, I will say my dad included.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm stuck in the rat race. I need to move. Too many people. The same story, you know?
Yep.
And they're like, well, where are we going to go? Let's go somewhere remote that's up and coming or established already. And then, we move here for the views, but we stay for the people and the connections. Like the access is great, don't get me wrong, but like what really runs this show is the mutual respect and the whole camaraderie that we get. Like I leave and other places are great, don't get me wrong. There's like some rad terrain out there. There's some like rad people out there. But when you come to this spot, this little corner of the world, it's got a different vibe, and there's a reason for that. And people should start asking, well, the big house doesn't make me happy anymore, you know? Well, and the boats and the cars well, you're looking for something, I would say, right? And what are you looking for? But connect. When we get up. Oh man, when we get up and we start scrolling through our phones and we're seeking that connection, but it's not being made because we're not out there having real conversation at a place, say like Wild or Montana Coffee Traders. Shout outs.
Yeah.
Then, it starts to kind of have an effect on us, but you could put a cork in it pretty quick by talking to a guy like you,
or like you,
or like us,
So if you see us at Coffee Traders, please come say hi.
Yes,
we want to be your friend.
Speaking of Coffee Traders, whole new crew
over there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, great crew though. I love that crew.
I'm in there, and like everybody's super chill, super laid back. But Matthew Bissard moved on, Serena moved on, David moved on. All those are like integral parts of, it's theater and music essentially. It's the arts.
Yep.
And when I got plugged in, from my ex, and I started coming out and I started rubbing shoulders with you, then it was like, oh, game over.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yep.
And then you start talking to people on the mountain and discovering what it takes for their mountain craft, building upon that, and the laps, it just all kind of comes together. It's for Benny Up.
Oh,
is named after a guy.
Right.
Yep. It's the people.
Ben Parsons.
The freaking Bob Marshall Wilderness isn't just a name, but named after a guy.
Yeah, a crazy dude Bob Marshall was.
Over 2 million acres of untapped, beautiful wilderness that please don't land your helicopters there anymore. It's just ridiculous.
I can't believe that actually happened.
Slap on the wrist, big parking ticket. Oh, I didn't know. Well, you should have known, I think. But anyways, it's named after a guy. Yeah, seek the understanding. Why is this the way that it is? Why is this named the way that it is? It's named for a reason. It's there's a story around every little tiny nook and cranny. And if you want to be a huckleberry zombie, I think is
what Earl said. Yeah, a bunch of huckleberry zombies walking around.
Dude, yeah. Then by all means, be one of those millions of people that come through and pass on by and take your picture right down Central. Yep. And then you got something to post on Instagram. But if you want to come away here with an experience or a story, talk to Day. That's a line cook at the Swift Current.
Swift Creek Cafe.
Swift Creek Cafe, yeah.
Yep.
Talk to Emma, one of the hostesses there, and start to kind of gain some understanding from the people.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like going to a foreign country. You engage with the locals and
Totally.
don't be afraid of them. And
Totally.
yeah, I think that's why people are really scared about the affordable housing issue. I mean, as John said in the first episode, in 2016, half of the workforce in Whitefish was commuting here from other places in the valley. They were, I don't know if it was back then or more currently, but they're 900 housing units short for staffing. And that's brutal. Those are brutal numbers. And then just with COVID, people coming in and buying homes, a lot of homeowners who are renting were like cashing in on it. And why wouldn't you? If you buy your house for $200,000 and you can now get it on the market for $800,000, pretty common. Why wouldn't you do that? And luckily there were some really nice people that have moved here and become a part of the community. I've got great neighbors who moved here from Tennessee, loved them. Other friends that have moved here and have wanted to become a part of the community and want to help, which is great. Those are the kind of people we want.
Yeah.
Someone said, what we really don't want to encourage is the people coming to buy a home just to Airbnb it or VRBO it, and they just don't even care. I mean, I'm sure there's nice people that do that, but it is having a bad effect. So
it's an effect.
Yeah,
it is an effect. It does make living conditions a little tough for the folks who are here for just to enjoy
the you and me's,
just to kick back and chill hard on the mountain, and all of a sudden they have to work doubles and or pick up another job and work doubles there. So quads or octa shifts or something crazy like that, man. Like people pulling insane hours, and I don't know what the rates are for, or what you're going to be paid now in the industry or the service industry. But for me, the Forest Service is just now kind of being like, oh, the pay is kind of an issue, and if we want to retain our people, then we're gonna have to pay them, right? But to be honest, like I would ride in helicopters. Don't tell anybody this, but this is just between you and me, so don't tell anybody this, okay?
Okay.
But I would ride in helicopters for free, okay, dude? The joke's on them. They're paying me.
Yeah.
No, but
that's
like
amazing.
Seriously though, the pay is not. I'm not a multi, $1,000 air.
Yeah, you're not doing it for the pay, is what I'm hearing.
And then you kind of, the rent gets bumped, and then you're jamming in with 6 other folks in a 3-bedroom situation. My brother Ryan Phillips was living under a set of stairs when I met him. Way. Yeah, man, like Harry Potter style.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is he still doing Wildland Firefighter?
Dude, he's stoked about the job, and which made me want to stick around. And we shot it together, and we were like, oh, we're gonna smoke jump together. Like, this is gonna be so sick. Well, I found my aviation corner of the world, and I am just fine with the helicopter bit. Like, it serves me to no end. Like but he got hired on with North Cascades smoke jumpers, and he's doing it.
Washington?
Yeah.
Rad.
He's doing it for real with a lot of other of our close buddies, his close buddies, yeah. And he's crushing it, man. I talked to him. I gotta hit him back up. I'm terrible with my phone, as you know. But yeah, that's one dude who's like totally bought in and crushes what he does.
Awesome.
Smoke jumper extraordinaire, Ryan Phillips.
What is a difference between like a hot shot and a smoke jumper?
So we have all these like different little resources, our tools in the toolbox to go fight the wildfires, right? Bigger incidents, smaller incidents, what have you. Hot shots are utilized as a 20 to 25. I'm not really sure on their org chart. They just underwent a change. so I don't know what it takes to get them out the door. But typically 22 people, including the soup, the foreman, the squatties, then the crew members who operate everybody who operates the show. You got 2 buggies with a cast of supporting vehicles. You get dispatched to a large incident. You roll tough. Crew boss hops out, or the soup hops out. They get briefed, and then they do a little bit of scouting, and they do the stuff that is, they do the swing shifts, they do the all-night shifts, they burn out pieces of ground used as a firefighting tactic, right? When the fire's chunking down the hillside and you got a good favorable condition on a road and you burn off that road, well, if I burn this piece of paper and I try and take a lighter to the ashes, it's not going to reburn, right?
Right.
So
interesting.
You burn into that,
yep.
And you meet fire with the fire, and you do it in a safe manner. So it's a shitload of saw work.
Yeah.
You got the saw dogs, and then you got the dig. Then you can like farm people out in cool little like. You show up, you steal an ATV, not steal, but you like borrow the ATV from a team, and then you just go and start calling in bucket drops or tanker drops or something like this. It's a full-on show.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the shot. I know there's like some other things, like if you're a hot shot and you're watching this and you're like, but what about the, spiking out? What about yeah, but for purposes of time in this discussion, that's generally what they do. They're pretty tip of the spear when it comes to engaging in initial attack.
Damn.
Smoke jumpers are utilized in a lot. From my understanding, I'm not a smoke jumper, but from my perspective, you have incredibly fit. It's so rigorous to try and figure out the PT stand. They're the little history. The smoke jumper program came out of World War II when we started jumping overseas,
mm-hmm.
and then so you had the DC-3s and these super fit soldiers that were like now in the States, and then somebody had a brilliant idea like, hey, we're catching fires and they're like way far away. Let's just put, and I'm paraphrasing so much, but let's just put these dudes, let's give them a tin hard hat and a freaking tool or a shovel and kick them out the door on a freaking ripping grass fire or some crazy timber thing. And everybody was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So they tried it. It freaking worked, and it's stuck around since then. And it's a crazy job. Like, you're flying a canopy in a pattern, you're landing in a meadow, or sometimes not, or just a straight up shaly, crazy, pokey piece of ground that is like broken, a lot of broken stuff. And so these dudes are tough as nails, and
Damn.
Mad respect, because they go and after their jump, they get to start the job. So then they
jump out of a plane,
yeah,
where there's a fire already happening,
yeah,
and they're
next to the fire, not
next to the
you
fire.
Don't jump into
Right.
anything, right?
No.
So, but you jump next to it.
That's still a little unnerving,
Yeah.
but these kind of people, that's just like
Trained
what they
for
know.
it.
Yeah. So then they land, and is there also like tools and stuff that like also parachutes down, or do they carry everything with them?
Yeah. So what goes on your lap is hooked up to your harness. The rappellers have the same kind of situation. I don't know what they call their pack situation. I can't remember it right now, but ours is a BD, or belly deployment bag, and that's where our line gear goes, 24 hours worth of food, bare minimums, water, extra pair of socks, our hard hat, gloves, everything that we need to live for 24 hours is in that. And you can't exceed an 8-pound piece of tinfoil called a fire shelter. So subtract that from your 30 pounds of capped weight. and that's everything you get, excluding your tools.
Right.
You don't jump with your tools. Once people get on the ground, then both helicopters and jump planes, they'll do another pattern, circle back around, and they'll, to use the term, kick the gear, the extra food, the extra water, the tools, the chainsaws, the climbing gear, whatever it is, out their doors, right? We have 4 boxes that come down in the rappel world. They're let down out of the helicopter, parks over the spot, boxes come out like this. We bust them open. It's everything that we built back at base that we get now to sustain us for 72 hours now. So with our food and our water, so there's similarities there.
Yep.
But the smoke jumpers, their capabilities are pretty far out. They can set. They have new planes now, so they send it like hundreds of miles, and they do like these crazy huge spans of ground. They're all like up on the looking out the windows, and they're all eyes out on. They're like, oh, we got, because on the way to your fire, you can pick up other fires and then go down, circle, let that be known to dispatch. Maybe like do a split. They'll maybe get some folks over here and then engage, and then come back, and then get the rest of them engaged over there. We can do the same thing with the helicopter, but we only have 4 people, so it's a lot smaller fire that we have to do this. All these little tactics and everything, but
it sounds very strategic.
It is, yeah. You're problem solving constantly, and you're working your brain, and it's you can take it as far as you want to, man.
Yeah.
It is the knowledge is literally endless.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Something as simple as fire can be so complicated. I never knew that, but now I'm like, whoa. And I'm a little overwhelmed. Like, further I get up in the org chart, I'm just like, whoa. There's a little bit more behind the scenes than what the news portrays.
I think when you just do like a burn pile and you just let that thing burn, and then you come back the next, at the end of the day, and you start trying to put it out, and you realize how much water it takes just to put out a burn pile. Like, you'll be soaking that thing and it'll smoke for like another 24, 36 hours.
Oh yeah.
And that's just like a burn pile. Like in Montana, everyone does a burn pile. So I just like can't imagine dealing with the forest fire, how much energy it actually takes to actually put it out. It's got to be as crazy.
Yeah, you're burning a lot of calories because you're sometimes you don't get water. So what are you gonna use to put the thing out once you get it fully wrapped, of course?
What does that mean to get it fully wrapped?
Fully wrapped. Well, first let me do a quick little go back. When I was just thinking about it, but I'm not a smoke jumper.
Yep.
Right. So
what is your official title?
So I'm a detailed squad boss on a rappel helicopter.
Okay.
So when I'm like explaining the job of a smoke jumper, smoke jumpers, all due respect, I know that I just like glossed over a lot of stuff, and maybe there's some stuff that I missed that could be said that would illuminate the job in a better light. But from where I sit and my understanding of the job and how the resource is used, those dudes are super highly qualified, incredibly fit, and probably some of the best problem solvers that you can ever meet.
I've seen those suits that they jump in too. Those are crazy.
All made in house.
Wow.
Yeah, they do it all. They do it all themselves. All their gear is self-sewn. They're incredible seamstresses. I'm gonna say seamsters.
Yep,
seamstresses.
Mm-hmm.
People who get behind the sewing machine. Their sewing program is incredible.
Huh.
And the rappel program is we steal a lot of stuff, a lot of knowledge from that. These guys have been doing it for so long. So personally, thank you for doing that job, because that's it's intense, and there's period. It's intense.
Yeah, I'd love to get a smoke jumper on one day. So any
I
smoke
know a
jumpers
couple.
out there?
I do know a couple.
Rad.
Yeah.
Let's get them on.
All right, cool. So yeah, tactics to wrap a fire. Imagine that you're walking around the woods. Okay, we've all been, if you're in Montana, you've gone up to Lion Mountain or something like Haskell Basin, right? And do me a favor, next time you're in that zone, right? Be like, okay, Ken told me to do this. Look at how thick it is and picture a campfire under that thick fuel type, right? Trees are fuel. It burns, so it's full fuel, right? So picture a campfire under that, and now think what it would take, what it would take to get that fuel away from that campfire that you just imaginarily just put into the woods, okay? It takes a lot. You would need a couple different tools. You need a chainsaw for one, to get those little tiny sapling trees. Reach as high as you can, but the lower limbs of bigger trees, brush, basically not grass, right? But it's used for woody material chainsaws, right? I'm going super basic because a lot of people don't. Oh, I got this. Do you put the chainsaw? Do you dig line with the chainsaw? Like, do I actually put it into the dirt? No, I don't put the bar actually into the dirt to dig. Maybe in Alaska. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But like, you don't put that would dull the hell out of your chain, and it would make it so ineffective that you would probably start a fire on your power head or something like that. So you got your chainsaw to remove to remove all the fuel around that campfire. Sometimes you get like a 5-foot break, whatever makes sense. 5-foot break to, I've been a part of 30-foot highways pretty much in the middle of the woods, and you got 3 saws going side by, and you're just brapping, and you got to take all that material and you got to get it on the side that it's not going to burn on.
Do you have to fell them a certain direction too?
Directional felling is certainly something that would be required when you run the saw. Absolutely. There's type 1, 2, and 3 fellers, we call them, but they are held to a certain standard, a certain there's certain requirements that you need to get there in order for you to be safe. Mm-hmm. One being like the most badass, like most capable. And so now you have all this material like around your campfire that's under this crazy brush away, right? And you're not going to put the chainsaw in the dirt now. Okay. So now comes in the dig. Now it comes in the hand tools. You're anchored. You make a safe point to start and identify that, and then you start moving in either direction around the flanks. No, I won't get into that. It becomes complicated in topography, wind conditions, hotter and drier things play into why we do the things that we do.
And a lot of this is based on the fact that a fire is potentially coming your way, I imagine.
So at this point you are on the fire. You're 1 foot in the black and 1 foot in the green, and you have this green, and then you just have like this tunnel now of fuel removed from this fire. And now it's like reduced to like a ground fire because you don't have any fuel there. Okay. Now imagine the grasses and stuff are kind of like on fire a little, but it's workable. It's not like it's not like you're looking at this flaming front on the news,
Right.
and like the flames are like 100, sometimes more, bending over, and you're like, oh, you dig line on that? And it's just like, no. That's something that, you get that requires a little bit more tactics. Campfire size stuff. When you're biking or hiking around Haskell Basin, this is what you're imagining. Make a save point, and then you start like going either direction, and we call it going direct, right? And you're just basically taking the ground fuel and you're getting it down to mineral soil, because that won't burn, right? But the little roots may. So you have to make sure that the line is clear, and then you come around to the head of the fire. That's a good term. You get to the head of the fire, and then you tie in with the other side of the dig, or you go in just a circle like this. Again, certain tactics for certain situations, but in general, that is what it means to wrap a fire. So when a fire is wrapped, then you move into actually stirring it up, right? And when you're rappelled or you jumped out in the middle of nowhere, or you hiked your ass off like 6 miles to get to this thing from an engine, right? Then you don't have the water as a resource, unless you hook up a helicopter with a bucket that dips out in California, your pools and your hot tubs and stuff.
Wait, are you serious? They do that?
Sometimes, like in a situation, I've seen videos, and sometimes I know that there's like a lot of legal stuff that comes with that. But if a pilot is in a situation like, hey, I can catch this thing with a bucket drop, and there's a pool right there, and I'm about to, and this fire's like licking up against touching this house, I'm gonna drop this pool water on that fire to save that house. And that's that pilot going like, I'm probably gonna get my ass chewed for this, but I'm gonna do it because because the why is there for me. It makes sense for me to save this value at risk. And there's another buzzword for you.
Value at risk.
Yep. That's why we do the things that we do.
Right.
Timber's money. You value your house, your car, our lives, right?
Yep.
And so to keep fire out of that, that's protecting values at risk. And when a fire is quiet enough and less active, then ground resources, boots on the ground, will be able to get. That's such a funny term. It's kind of cringy, but it does make sense. But the people actively engaged in doing the damn thing can get in there and dig line around it and get it wrapped.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of freaking work.
But it sounds super fun.
Rewarding.
Yeah.
Sometimes your line burns over. And then you're like, your 14 days of spent on this one road, fire, like a wind event comes over, and just like a downdraft just goes and blows ashes and embers across the line, and then all of a sudden you have spot fire. We call them spot fires across the line, and it's like, oh, it's unsafe. Everybody out. Everybody gets out, and then all of a sudden your 2 weeks, maybe a month, is spent on this line is now gone, and you have to also be okay with that because it's like, I just spent so much, like, no, it's just be flexible, man. The fire isn't doing it to you. The weather didn't wake up one day and be like, you know what, sounds good, I'm gonna fuck up Ken's day today. I'm gonna take out this town. The weather is what it is, and it's up to us to act accordingly in a safe manner, right? So if you're out there and you just bought a home in the middle of the woods, do your due diligence, seek the understanding where you're at, and know what you could be facing if something like that in your rural area experiences a situation where it involves fire, because it could affect your little homestead or your pad and it would be a shame to work so hard and build what you've built and then have it just go away because we could have done something but we didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I could do something now, but I choose not to, and then all of a sudden that day arises, comes up, and then it's like, and then I'm expecting you now, Morgan, to fight this fire and I'm expecting you to put your value, your life in serious danger to save what I've built. And a lot of us want to perform in that capacity because there's things riding on that makes sense to do it at the expense of our own safety, and that's where things can go bad. But that is also just the way I see things, and there's a lot of decisions that are made for a number of reasons that I have no idea what goes behind the scenes. I'm just happy to be here, man. I just fly around in a chopper, you know, do my thing. It's cool. It's fun and rewarding.
That's pretty dope.
I ripped.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just scary because like what happened in California with those fires that just took out those towns in Northern California, like that seems like a pretty rare event that's becoming more common.
Well, look at your sheet, man.
So yeah, like looking at numbers, it is really interesting to look at.
Where's this from?
So we're looking at, I'm going to put this graphic on the screen. The National Interagency Coordination Center at NICF compiles annual wildland fire statistics for federal and state agencies. This information is provided through situation reports, which have been in use for several decades. Prior to 1983, the federal wildland fire agencies did not track official wildfire data using current reporting processes. As a result, there's no official data prior to 1993 posted on this site. So we are looking at, by year, the number of fires and how many acres were burned. So, for example, in 1983, there were 18,229 fires burning a total of 1,323,666 acres. And it kind of jumps around a lot. And in 2021, which was last reported, there was 58,000 fires, pretty much 59, burning a total of 7,125,643 acres. It looks like the worst was...
Worst in number of fires or acreage?
Let's do the number of fires because it's interesting because the most fires was in 96. There was 96,000 fires.
That's a lot of fires.
Burning 6 million acres. But the most acres burned was in 2015. Yeah, 2015. There was 68,000 fires burning over 10 million acres.
So fewer fires, but crazy, almost 4.1 more million acreage.
Mm-hmm. So the numbers are kind of all over the place as far as the number of fires, but there is definitely an uptick in the amount of acreage. And just so everyone knows, America is 2.4 billion acres of land, including Alaska and Hawaii.
That's a lot of playground, man.
That's a lot of playground. And so 10 million is a big number, but that's only 0.004% of the total land. But it's still a lot. I mean, those numbers don't matter if your town burned down. Anyway, interesting statistics to look at. Do you have any commentary on these numbers?
As a matter of fact, I do. And one thing I want to mention for people who are not familiar with this National Interagency Coordination Center, they're based out of Boise, Idaho. And I would encourage anybody, it's on Google, to check out NICC. And there is so much nerdy information that you can wrap your little fingers around in terms of like what the fire year could be, the fire outlook for the year.
Cool.
You got your 1, 2 week out, month out, what the year looks like, the droughts, the current state of the situation. And if you're interested, or if you have a loved one or a family member that is engaged in this kind of industry, and a lot of us do, then then seek some understanding. Turn over that rock, and then when you when you say, hey, are you on the blah 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 fire, and is that over there, and they will be like, what, how do you know that? And then you just be like, oh, Ken told me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back on this thing. Acreage, 1 million, 1.3 million. Okay, and then it in 83, and then 2002 is getting up there.
Yeah, it's like 2002 is when there's a significant uptick.
Yeah, I would say
a little bit 99.
I would say 2000. 2000 broke the 5
million.
5 million. Thank you. The 5 million number, and then 2000 was huge. 2002 was huge. 3, and then you get up another 1 million and 4, and then back down a little bit. 10 was kind of cool. I wonder what the weather looked like in 2010 too, because weather drives fire behavior. Sun heats the Earth's crust, and then it radiates up, and then it creates our wind. And so that's weather, right? And that's what this is kind of depicting: hotter and drier, and less rain, and more wind, and you get, all you need is an ignition or somebody to have a gender reveal party in their backyard, and then you gotta
light up a firework.
I don't know. but I'm
sure there's
human caused.
Yep.
Fire is real, man.
It's 50. Is it 50-50? I think I read it's like usually most wildfires are 50-50, but
I couldn't hazard a guess. I mean, cigarettes getting flicked out the window, chains bouncing behind your RV.
Oh yeah.
Parking your overland rig on hot grass. Your muffler starting something.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, you can really like transient fires, whatever, man. Hunter fire, warming fires, that's a huge one. Montana's marked as this hunting designation, right? And we have great land to do that, and a lot of out-of-staters, early fall kind of thing. We're still seeing those potential for massive fire growth, and holy cow, Colorado had a ripping fire in the middle of December, and
that's right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then I was like, huge wind event.
Huh.
Yeah. And it blew out, and I don't know how that was caused. But they're like the humans. When Smokey says only you can prevent forest fires, that's true to an extent. Aside from like a lightning bus coming through, or a mouse farting on some really volatile fuels or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mouse farts don't start fires.
Maybe one has.
Yeah,
who
knows, man?
Who knows? Butterfly effect.
But like, do your due diligence. It's middle of summer. It's hot. Do I really want to fire just to cook my s'mores, or do I need one to keep warm? Like, ask yourself those questions.
Or just use like a designated campground that has
the pits, man. Like, there's some like cool already like fire pits that kind of trap the embers. It's got those ember screens on them. I can't remember the thing. But like, but there's like cool devices out there. Camp stove, if you need to cook some food. There's options to get your heat. We have moved from caveman.
Yeah.
When fire was a part of this landscape, and we started walking upright, and then all of a sudden we're like, I can cook my food on this. This keeps me warm. And we start going up. Fire is history. So
it is.
But yeah, this history is kind of interesting, and those numbers suggest an uptick in more acres burned per year. So that's my key takeaway from that. That is
really interesting to see, like going from like an average of 1 to 3 here and there to pretty consistently 10 in 2015, 10 million in 2017, 10 million in 2020. And this is just America. Like, there's also Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
South America.
Yep. I know a lot of people are going to really want to know, what are the most dangerous aspects of your job? Like, what are some of the dangers? And I'm thinking back to what happened in Helena in the 50s, I think, was it? Those guys that got caught, that big group of people big group of wildland firefighters.
Man,
You know what story I'm talking about?
my roommate Jake Vogel is the guy to know. He is so dialed in with fire history, tragedy fires we call them,
Yeah.
and the lessons learned from those tragedy fires, because we have a whole website dedicated to what went on, the dialogue, the decisions made.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
What's that website? Do you know?
Oh,
We'll put it in the
it's
show
called
notes.
It's called FLA. I can't remember the. If you type in FLA on Google and you just dig around tragedy fires, common denominators on tragedy fires, you're gonna start coming up with some info. You're gonna start to seek the understanding, like where this is coming from and where it could potentially go. You asked me a really good question. What do I think is the most dangerous part of this job?
Yeah. What are some of the dangers that you encounter?
Simple. It's the human factor.
What do you mean by the human factor?
It's how we take care of ourselves that lead to physically and mentally. Where are you at there? Start asking yourself that question, because that's going to affect your decision making.
I see.
That's going to affect your situational awareness. It's going to affect mission analysis, and your communication also all of a sudden starts breaking down. And then your assertiveness, all of a sudden, for me, I become clammed up when I'm like freaking tired and I'm poorly fed for like weeks on end, and I'm like eating gas station hot case brown food and like eating hot mama pickles. Like there's going to be an imbalance in my system that leads me down to making questionable decisions, and I'm acutely aware of that, and I'm taking active steps towards that to mitigate some of those issues, right? And sort of off that, it all wraps up into leadership, and of the position. How effective am I being when I can't really communicate well to my people that I'm trying to get the leader's intent across, the why, how it should look when it's done, right, and the tasks to be done. All of that just kind of starts breaking down. So it absolutely, for me personally, from what I've seen, is the human factor. Not to mention things that are going on the home front that are starting to affect the people's way of doing business. My wife wants a divorce. I missed my kids' softball game. I wasn't there for their recital. I wasn't there, for their first words. Yeah, like they said "dad" to me for the first time over FaceTime. Like that would be so. And then you carry that with you into the job, and you're thinking about it all night, and then you wake up and you try and be effective in a tactical position, and then all of a sudden you find yourself you're there, but you're not there.
Right. Yep. Is it a dangerous job?
Is it a dangerous job? It most certainly seems like it. It is. We're constantly assessing the risk of what we're about to engage in. Climbing into a helicopter, and spending so much time in a hover when you're so low to the ground. If something goes wrong, the emergency procedure is to gain forward momentum to start a glide path, if you will, and so that you can get to an emergency landing zone. But if you're 200 feet above the treetops and you get a oil temp rising or dropping out, or oil pressure dropping out, or something, or a flame out or something like that, something went terribly wrong, and you need to get on the ground in a safe manner. It's like, that's why thank you, mechanics and fuel drivers and pilots. You guys put in so much freaking work on keeping that machine in tip-top shape, man. Like it's not lost on me how incredibly hard those aircraft, airframe and power plant mechanics and those pilots, like their conversations, what they do, they're running checks every single morning, and they go through it fine tooth comb.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a dangerous job, but there's risk to everything. Managing yourself,
Yeah.
and looking out for one another is like really huge.
Yeah.
For sure.
Crazy.
I got something for you, actually.
You do?
I do. It's nothing big, so don't get excited.
Okay.
It's the NWCG Incident Response Pocket Guide. That's what it looks like. Yeah, we carry them around in our packs and our pockets, obviously. Yeah, everything that we kind of get engaged on is in that little book right there. So it's based on the policy and whatever have you.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's public information. So if you guys out there want to see it, you can literally type in NWCG space IRPG, and
this is like real. This is like, if escape is not possible, lie face down with head toward incoming aircraft with hard hat in place. Hold hand tool away from your body, and if possible, grasp something firm to prevent being carried or rolled away by the dropped liquid.
Yeah,
that shit's real.
It's dangerous. But what? Okay, well, let me ask you this: what led up to that scenario, right?
So you're stuck in like a fire's like coming up on you, and they're trying to drop on you.
Yeah. So what put that person there? This is a good question. What put that person there?
Being obviously wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
Yeah. Weather changed course from where a crew or someone was, or they weren't paying attention to where they were.
Right. So what did I just say the most dangerous part of the job was?
Yourself.
The human factor.
The human factor.
What?
Whoa.
So somebody got in that position not because they were dumb or don't know how to do the thing or whatever, but somebody somewhere made a call that downstream effect led that person to get dropped on, right?
Wow.
Or there was a breakdown in communication.
Yeah.
That's a human factor, right? So it all plays into itself, and you're going to find that the theme just kind of starts rolling.
Yep.
And the paradox, which is fire, will start to emerge out of the flames, if you will. Yeah.
I love paradoxes.
I know, man.
Yeah. Oh.
Did you because I want to did you go over what with your people, your audience, if you will, what you wanted to make this show, or you didn't yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm only 4 episodes deep.
Okay, that's fair. Well, based on what Morgan was telling me on the phone, I'm excited for what you got going on with the show, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ken, thank you so much for being on my 4th episode.
Let's hug
of
it
Hello
out,
Whitefish.
man.
Let's hug it out,
Come
man.
here.
This is what we're all about here in Whitefish. The love, the brotherly love.
My guy.
Oh, my man.
My man.
All right, let's get out of here. Let's go to the palace.
Let's freaking do it.